Welcome! I'm Ted Leroy, your instructor, and this lesson provides an overview of the Secure Shell Fundamentals course. This course is for you if you manage Linux devices remotely using Secure Shell, or if you manage network devices such as those by Cisco or Juniper. It's helpful to have some Linux background, but it's not required, and we will cover some very fundamental commands here. We'll start out with an introduction to SSH. We'll talk about what Secure Shell is and why it's useful. Next section is setting up your environment. You'll learn how to create a free lab with virtualization, how to install VirtualBox, how to download an installation image of Ubuntu 18.04, which you'll use in this course, and how to install Ubuntu Linux Server on VirtualBox. Then we'll discuss using SSH for remote access. We'll talk about repairing your server, connecting with SSH, and connecting from Windows with PuTTY. I assume you have some familiarity with Linux, but we do cover some very basic commands here. We'll go over your first steps in Linux, the Bourne Again or Bash shell, understanding man pages, case sensitivity in Linux, the root user, and common Linux commands. Another thing you'll have to be able to do to get through this course is edit text files. So we'll cover editing text files overview, Vim for VI improved, and Nano, a quasi-GUI text editor. Then we'll configure SSH Keybased Authentication. Keybased authentication is much more secure than username password authentication. First we'll do this on Linux and Mac, and then we'll do this for Windows. Then we'll learn how to secure SSH. We'll configure the SSHD config file for security. We'll learn how to stop bad guys with free software called Fail2Ban, and we'll enable your UFW firewall. We'll also disable unneeded services and learn how to manage sudo or privileged access. Then we'll learn how to copy files using SSH with SCP. We'll learn how to do this Linux to Linux and Windows to Linux. Then we'll cover extended operations and shaky connections. Sometimes you'll want to do something that will last for hours and hours or days, and you'll want to know how to do that and keep it running. And you'll also want to know how to manage if you have an unreliable internet connection and your connection drops. That's it for the overview. I'll see you in the course.